Romina Garber is an author, and her new book, La Bisona, was due to be published just as the coronavirus health crisis hit, and has kind of upended the entire publishing industry right at a time where we all need books. Romina, first, tell us a little bit about you and your book, La Bisona, and how the coronavirus health crisis has changed the entire publishing industry.
Of course. Thank you for having me, Dan. I wrote a book, Lo Bisona, inspired by mythology from my homeland, Argentina. And I wrote a book that was really about the immigrant identity and what it means to belong to two worlds, but really feel sometimes like you belong to neither. And I anticipated publishing it at a time when, there was an election coming, and talk about our own borders and our own immigration policies are so present on our minds. And instead, what I'm finding is that our conversation is very different. What we're talking about now is obviously in some ways united us, but in other ways, it's kind of made us forget some of the other narratives that were going on at the time. For instance, I'm wondering what's going on in some of these ICE detention centers right now. Immigrants there being provided with the essentials they need? There's a lot more questions that right now we should be asking, and hopefully we will be asking. But in the meantime, as we were saying, this virus has disrupted everyone's lives. And in the publishing industry, that's no exception. So what was supposed to be an early May release is now looking like it will be early August. And this is the book.
So this has changed not just your publishing schedule, but will delay, change, shift, maybe unfortunately postpone or cancel the books of many aspiring and budding authors with whom you've been talking and kind of trading stories about this experience. Can you kind of bring us inside what it's like for other authors experiencing this crisis?
Absolutely. So right now, many of us had some of the biggest publishing conferences, in fact, take place in the first half of the year. And so a lot of us have had to cancel tours, events, talks. Publishers are not meeting at these big festivals where they're supposed to sell subrights and different things that really contribute to the success of an author. So we have had to turn to the digital world and virtual conventions and Zoom and all these and live streams and all these other ways to keep in touch with our readers. However, it does really affect our bottom line that we can't be out there promoting our books. Authors are kind of one-man bands in many ways, and we need to do everything, not just the creative, but the business side. And right now, for instance, Amazon has deprioritized books during this time. So it's not considered an essential need. Therefore, they're not shipping as they usually would in the same speeds as before. So that's affecting us. A lot of indie bookstores have had to close down because they're not considered essential businesses. And not all of them can afford to keep people in for curbside pickup and online orders the way that Barnes & Noble can. And we should be supporting all of these stores right now, Barnes & Noble, bn.com, and also the indie bookshops. For instance, there's like a new beta program that's out there right now called bookshop.org that compiles all these local indies and basically enables you to order a book and pairs you with one of these stores, as opposed to ordering it from a bigger platform. So there's initiatives to keep our communities going after this all blows over, but right now it feels like once the storm blows over, the landscape will look very different for publishing.
So you said that Amazon's algorithm, the search algorithm, is right now deprioritizing books and prioritizing what they call essential services. What does this mean for readers? Does this mean fewer books, fewer options, fewer authors?
I believe this means maybe a little less exposure for some authors, and I think it also especially means maybe delays in shipping of books. And right now, there is an immediacy to consuming media, particularly when we're cooped up in our homes, and it's harder to compete with Netflix, or Hulu, and binging on TV when, you have to wait that long to get the book. And then I do think that maybe we will see more people turning to ebooks. I think that the industry expected a bigger impact from ebooks than it's seen, and this might be the thing that changes that. We might see people turning more to it because, again, that immediacy and that kind of low frill access to something, I think, is what people are prioritizing right now.
Well, you have done a great job of staying in contact with your community, and you also have been an advocate for many of the authors and books. If you have one recommendation for fans of young adult fiction, what would that one recommendation, reading recommendation, be for people who are inside social distancing this spring?
Okay, well, I'm not gonna lie, I'm surrounded by books right now and my fingers are itching to reach for a number of them. But if I only have to do one, then I think what's most fair would be to pick an anthology that combines a number of big YA authors. This book was just released, and of course, all of this hit, so they have not been able to have the big events they were hoping. And so it is called A Phoenix First Must Burn. And it's 16 tales that explore the Black experience through fantasy and sci-fi and different mediums. So it's very important, it's very empowering, and it's very exciting. And because you get 16 different tales, you have a little bit of everything.